Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And you can subscribe to the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network by going to Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com. You go to TuneIn or to Stitcher.com. And I guess you can go to YouTube as well, because YouTube has had ours and we haven't had anything muted lately off of YouTube. So I guess things are a little bit better on the YouTube side of things. So we're on there as well. So make sure you subscribe to one of those podcasts. If you want to hear the show live, you subscribe to Spreaker.com. Otherwise, you want to hear it at any time, you subscribe to TuneIn, you subscribe to Stitcher.com, iHeartRadio.com, or YouTube. And this week, we're doing a little early in the week this week because I have an engagement I have to be a part of at the end of the week. So when I normally do it on Friday, I usually do it on Friday, but I can't do it Friday this week. So I'm going to do it earlier. And we have a lot of things to talk about this week. We have a recap of a loss by one of our Beltway boxers over in England. And I then have some further words on what took place last Friday night at Maryland Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland, the Jet of Emotions card. We got some good, interesting feedback on the card overall, as well as as one of the bouts on the card. So I want to talk about that a little bit. We have an update on a bout that's taking place this week for Beltway Boxer. An interesting bout that I'm not sure why it's happening, but they're doing this bout again. Doing this bout for this Beltway Boxer on Friday, March 15th. We got an update on the Ballard Entertainment and TGB Promotions card is taking place on Sunday, March 24th at the MGM National Harbor Casino. And that's a big weekend for us next weekend. That's going to be a huge weekend for us. And then I have a follow-up on a story that I talked about a couple of years ago, that things have taken a good turn in that particular story. It was a very tragic situation that took place, and I'll remind you all how I got interested in it and how I talked about it, and then we'll give you the good update on that. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, the shoulder pain, the muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, where she has that great book she has about weight loss that you can do without dieting, eating real food along the way. She has special recipes for that. She also has that great jewelry, including that boxing glove pendant that she has on her site. So go to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, this past Friday, March the 8th, at the Royal Albert Hall in Kensington, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland light heavyweight Travis Reeves, he lost by 5th round knockout to undefeated Anthony, the Beast from the East Yard of Ilford, Essex, England. And this took place at the Royal Albert Hall in Kensington, Maryland. If you have ESPN Plus, you may have had a chance to see that particular bout. I do not have ESPN Plus. I did not see it, but there was a good report from Steve Bateson. He's from secondhouse.com, and just as kind of a summary of what he was talking about, Yard was a lot bigger than Reeves coming in. Yard has had some difficulty making 175 pounds. This bout was for the WBO International Light Heavyweight. WBO International Light Heavyweight Championship, and which Yard holds and defended now for the 5th time. Bateson of secondhouse.com said Reeves gave a very game performance throughout the night, but he was nowhere physically capable of putting a dent in the Beast from the East. Reeves was backed off by a right hand to the top of the head and another big-time right hand. He would have success at times, but Yard would just hit him with some terrible shots. Hit him and kind of stumbled him, made him stumble a little bit. Again, Yard was just according to Bateson, he was just too big for Travis Reeves. And the end came in the 5th when the giant right hand finally buckled the legs of Reeves, sent him back to the ropes Yard followed up with another right hand, another left hook, and the referee stopped the bout at 48 seconds of the 5th round. So, again, a tough loss for Travis Reeves, his second overseas trip, second time he does not come away with a victory. He's now 17-4-2, 7 KOs, and at 38 years old, I don't know how much time Reeves has left, in all honesty, in this sport. But, they say he gave a good accounting, but he just was overmatched by Yard, who's now 18-0, 17 KOs, and he's looking at getting a WBO light heavyweight championship shot with champion Sergey Kovalev. So, again, tough break for Travis Reeves. Hopefully he'll bounce back and see where he goes from here. Now, of course, this past Friday, also at Maryland Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland, the Jetta Promotions card that you heard, hopefully you heard live right here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. If you haven't heard it yet, you can still hear it because it's archived on the podcast. So make sure you can listen to it. And it was overall a good card, not a great card, but it was a good card. A couple of things that kind of hindered it from being a great card. I think the first round knockout that Damon Bessette Nicholson scored over Jesse the Beast Nicklo for the Maryland State Super Middleweight Championship. I think a lot of people were surprised by that. I'm not surprised that Nicholson won the bout, and not surprised that Nicholson knocked out Nicklo, but the fact that it came so close. So soon, I should say. So soon. And that was a tough break there. So that was tough. I think that the bout that got the most conversation, we did get some comments on the blog, boxingonthebeltway.blogspot.com, and a lot of the comments came with the bout in the co-feature between Devante Speed Rawls and Glenn Arden and the Red Comet Dante Cox of Elk Ridge, Maryland. And a lot of people thought Cox had no business taking that bout. And again, Cox had only had now 4 pro bouts, whereas Devante Speed Rawls had 12 bouts going into that bout. So a lot of people didn't think Cox should have taken that bout in the first place. I'm going to read from one of the people that talked about this, and basically he said that Cox never should have fought Rawls, and the coaches should be ashamed. And that was, that was kind of the same conversation that was taking place on the blog after the card was over. So I was a little surprised by that. I mean, I'm not surprised that people are complaining about that, because again, I thought it was kind of a chancy move for Dante Cox also. I mean, and basically, when you hear about, you'll hear, I should say, that Devante Speed Rawls' speed, his hand speed, which we've talked time and time again on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, was the big difference. It was a huge difference in that bout, and Cox could not keep up with it. And that's how the bout ended. The bout ended in 128 of the 3rd round. And good wins for, actually, the other bout that kind of hurt this card was the bout that was the no contest between Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw and Tyrone Butterfly Crawley Jr. Outlaw out of Bowie, Maryland, and Crawley Jr. out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And, they got tangled up. They both fell. Outlaw fell on top of Crawley, and Crawley hurt his leg. And that's how that happened. So it was a tough break there. So bouts like that kind of hurt the card a little bit. A.J. Williams came back strong, first bout since 2013, and won a 3rd round TKO. Malik Lofton, 4-round split decision win over debuting Jawar. A lot of people did not like that decision, by the way. I'm kind of one of them. I thought Jawar won the bout. I also criticized, in all honesty, John Gradowski's score, who had a shutout for Lofton, which I definitely did not see. Brandon Chambers fought to a 4-round draw with Christopher Hayden. That wasn't a bad bout, in all honesty. All 3 judges scored about 38-38. Jerry Slug Forrest out of Newport News, Virginia, won an 8-round unanimous decision. And I thought that was the best bout out of the 2 bouts I saw between Forrest and Young. And, of course, they had the 1-round disqualification. So definitely the best bout out of the 3 that they've had against one another. But Forrest won by unanimous decision, and got a nice performance by a young man named Radzab the Python Butayev. He's out of Brooklyn, New York, by way of Russia. He's out of Russia, South Russia, and he fought well. Stopped Leonardo Tyner at 148 of the 3rd round. So it was a good card, not a great card, but a good card. Definitely not the way his card, Jetta Promotions card, took place back in August. That was the Beltway Boxing card of the year. So, but definitely more to grow on for Jetta Promotions, no question about that. Now let's turn to this week. Only one bout for the Beltway in on this coming week, because quite frankly the Golden Gloves take a week off this week, so they're back on the 23rd, which makes that a big weekend. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But this card coming up takes place on Friday, March 15th. It'll be at the Licouris Center on the campus of Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we talked about the fact that Demetrius Big Beach Ballard will be competing on this card. He's the undefeated Temple Hills middleweight, super middleweight, who's 19-0, 12 KOs. We didn't give his opponent. And his opponent is a very familiar one to him. His name is Victor Sino Fonseca. He's from Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. His record 17-9-1, 14 KOs. And this is the second time that Ballard has faced Fonseca. First time they fought each other back in May of 2016 in Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California. Now, Ballard scored a third-round TKO on that bout. However, early in that round, he lost a point. I believe for hitting with a low blow. He lost a point for hitting Fonseca with a low blow. Now, later in the round, Ballard would knock down Fonseca, and then Fonseca's corner threw in the towel. And the bout ended at 142 of the third round. So that'll be interesting to see what happens the second time they have fought each other. Now, the last time out for Ballard and Fonseca, Ballard won a 8-round unanimous decision over Alan Camper on November 8th back at the Fantasy Springs Casino in Indio, California, while Fonseca lost by 7th-round TKO to Bilal Akawi. That was on December 15th at Madison Square Garden in New York City. So they are fighting this coming Friday, March 15th. And it's not on television or anything. It's about 10-round bout. Big Meats Ballard, Demetrius Ballard takes on Victor Fonseca. By the way, March 15th happens to be my mother's birthday. She turns 87. So I want to wish her an early happy birthday, and I love her dearly. No question about that. So that's coming March 15th. Now, coming up the weekend of March 22nd, we have a lot of things going on. First of all, Friday, March 22nd, that is the tribute to Scott Wagner that Jake Smith and Baltimore Boxing Promotions putting on in the Great Amateur Show at Michael St. Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And again, that's a tribute to the legendary Scott Wagner. Of course, who passed away last year, and he'll be honored again on this card. Lisa Boldenberg will not be competing on the card, but according to the flyer, she'll be singing the national anthem. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. She's the current Marine, I believe. She's still a Marine, I believe. And she's fought a couple of times on the card, but this time she'll be singing the national anthem as part of the show on March 22nd. That'll be at Michael St. Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. On Saturday, March 23rd, is the second semifinal matchup for the Golden Gloves. And I do want to tell you a couple things coming into April. Now, a couple weeks, we'll give you the full April schedule, which is unbelievable. Truly, this year, the awesome April of Beltway Boxing. No question about that. And we'll give you the full schedule in a couple of weeks. However, we do want to make this mention. I want to get you ready for this. Saturday, April the 6th at Rosecroft Raceway. That'll be the Washington Golden Gloves Championships. We will have live coverage right here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. We'll be on the air at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time for that. That's Saturday, April the 6th. Saturday, April 6th. We have also learned, by the way, we have the Regional Golden Gloves Championships on Saturday, April 27th. Now, we will not be able to give you a live blow-by-blow coverage of the Regional Championships, and here's why. And I'm kind of exposing the schedule a little bit early, but we have so much going on that day. Not just that week, that day, April 27th. Without going into too much detail, we do have a pro show that day. We have the Regional Golden Gloves, and I will be the ring announcer for this year's Belfast Beltway Boxing Classic, which will take place at the Wardman Hotel in Washington, D.C. That's the event where we bring in boxers from Belfast, Northern Ireland, amateur boxers taking on group of boxers from the Beltway area. Now, here's the situation about that. Because of the regional Golden Gloves going on that very same night, we have no idea who's going to be available for the Belfast Beltway Classic. We'll have boxers available, but we don't know who they're going to be. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm not going to get that until like the day of the event. So that ought to be interesting. We'll see what happens. But I will be the ring announcer for the Belfast Beltway Boxing Classic on Saturday, April 27th. So I will not be able to bring you live blow-by-blow coverage of the regional Golden Gloves. However, we have learned that not only will the Washington Golden Glove Championship, which features D.C., Maryland, and Delaware, be at Rose Crawford Raceway on Saturday, April the 6th, we have also learned that the Virginia, North Carolina Golden Glove Championships will take place at Rosecroft. It'll be April 12th, 13th, and possibly the 14th. That's Friday the 12th, Saturday the 13th, and possibly Sunday the 14th if they need it. And so that'll be the Virginia, North Carolina Golden Glove Championships, and we'll probably bring you live coverage of what takes place on the 13th, which is that Saturday, possibly that Sunday, maybe, but definitely that Saturday. We'll be there for the second day of the Virginia, North Carolina Golden Gloves. Apparently, they're having some issues monetarily with the with it being held in either Virginia or North Carolina. So that's the problem there. So Saturday, April 12th, 13th, and 14th, the Virginia, North Carolina Golden Glove Championship. So it all begins again on Saturday, March 23rd. That's the second semifinal. And then the Washington Golden Gloves final live Saturday, April 6th, 7:30 p.m. The Virginia North Carolina Golden Gloves Friday, Saturday, and possibly Sunday, April 12th, 13th, and 14th. And then the regional Golden Gloves Saturday, April the 27th. Now, as we said, we got the show with Jake Smith, Baltimore Boxing on the 22nd. We have the semifinals of the Washington Golden Gloves on the 23rd. And then on Sunday, March 24th, we have the Peterson Brothers card. That's the DeBella Entertainment TGB Promotions card. That'll take place at MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland on Sunday, May 24th. And that's a Sunday evening, by the way. And we don't have the times for it yet, but it will be a Sunday evening card. Will not be an afternoon card. The card will be televised, at least the main event bouts with Lamont Peterson taking on Sergey Lipinets and Anthony Peterson battling Argis Mendez. They will be the feature bouts on the telecast on FS1. But we do have some bouts that are on that card that have been announced. Alexander, Virginia middleweight Brandon Bulldog Quarles will be on an 8-round contest on that card. He'll take on Aaron Coley of Haywood, California. Quarles is 21-4-1, 10 KOs. Really fighting well as of late. He's riding a 3-bout winning streak. That includes a 10-round unanimous decision victory over Todd Manuel. That was on December 22nd at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Now, Quarles will make his second trip to MGM National Harbor Casino. He scored a 5th-round TKO, looked very good in a bout over Fidel Monterosa Munoz back on May 19th at MGM National Harbor. That was on the Gary Russell Jr. Jojo Diaz card. Coley is 15-2-1, 7 KOs. He looks to bounce back from a 12-round split decision loss to Paul Valenzuela Jr. That was on April 7th in Lagos, Nigeria. And that bout was for the German version of the World Boxing Union middleweight title. So that should be an interesting bout there. Brandon Quarles taking on Aaron Coley. And another Beltway boxer scheduled to be on that card, and that's rookie Baltimore, Maryland super middleweight Lorenzo Truck Simpson. He returns to action in a 4-round contest against Earl Jerry Henry of San Diego, California. Simpson 2-0, 2 KOs, came off a 3rd-round knockout win over Darian Chapman. That was on February 9th at the now Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. Henry is 0-1-1. He lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Jeffrey Muriel on February 22nd in Huntington, New York. So those are the Beltway boxes we have so far. We've been hearing word that Kobe Soldier Breedy will be on this card, possibly Kareem Martin, possibly Patrick Harris, but no word yet on if they're going to be on the card, number one, and who they'll face if they get put on the card. Now, a feature bout on this card, and a bout that probably be on television if they do show 3 bouts on the televised portion of the card on FS1. There'll be a 10-round contest between Cincinnati, Ohio super welterweight, the quiet assassin Devante Clark, and undefeated Vernon Brown of Chicago, Illinois. Should be an interesting bout. Clark is 13-1, 7 KOs. He lost for the very first time in his last outing, which was a 10-round unanimous decision loss to Jason Rosario. That was on August 24th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, interesting situation here. Devante Clark made his pro debut in the Beltway. He defeated Lee Creasher by a 3rd-round TKO in January 2014. That was at the D.C. Armory in Washington, D.C., and that was on the undercard of Lamont Peterson and Thierry Jean. So this is the second time that Clark has been on the undercard of a Peterson bout. Brown is 10-0-1, 7 KOs. He comes off a first-round knockout over Marlon Lewis on October 13th in Gary, Indiana. So Clark will be kind of a step up for Brown. Brown has not fought a lot of quality people, in all honesty. So this will be a nice step for him going forward. So that's about scheduled for, that is scheduled for 10 rounds. It'll be Devante Clark out of Cincinnati, Ohio, battling Vernon Brown of Chicago, Illinois. Also on the card, Jose Miguel Borrego of Aguas Calientes, Mexico, takes on Jerry Thomas of St. Mary's, Kansas. That bout scheduled for 8 rounds. Borrego is 14-2, 13 KOs. He last fought on September 22nd. He lost a 10-round majority decision to Cameron Crail in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, Thomas is 14-1-1, 8 KOs, scoring a 6-round TKO in his last outing over the debuting Brad Robertson on May 19th at Topeka, Kansas. So why a guy that has 15 bouts now, 16 bouts, fighting a guy who has a pro debut, is fighting in a pro debut, I have no idea. So that could be interesting as well. So that's the 8-round bout, Jose Borrego against Jerry Thomas. So that is the update on March 24th, Sunday. We won't be doing, of course, any live broadcasting. So we'll do some podcasting, give you an intermission report. And, of course, our post-fight wrap-up show immediately following the card. So that's Sunday, March 24th from the MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland. Finally today, back in May of 2017, as part of as I wrapped up that particular week of Beltway Boxing news and notes, I gave a little, I don't even call it a tribute, really. I had a situation that week, that really touched me. And I talked to you about it, and then I asked you all to make a contribution in this situation. And I want to give you kind of an update on what's happening there. Back in May of 2017, I did a story, and it had nothing to do with boxing, by the way. This was something personal for me. I went to a radio station called WEAC Radio. It's an internet radio station in Southeast Washington, D.C. And it was my first time there. I was doing some promo work for a show that I was working on. And that night they had a press conference for a situation involving a young lady by the name of Charnice Milton. Now, Charnice Milton, for those who don't remember, I know it's been a couple years, but almost 2 years now. Back in 2015, Charnice Milton, who was a reporter for local papers in Southeast D.C., was stepping off a bus. She just finished working on a story. And she stepped off a Metro bus, which is our bus transit system here. And she stepped right into a situation where 2 guys were shooting at each other. And one of the guys got on the bus and used her as a human shield. And she got shot and she was killed. To this day, to my knowledge, they have not found out who were the perpetrators in that situation. Now, at WEAC Radio that particular evening, they were holding a press conference there to talk about the building or the putting together of a library, because apparently a bookstore, not a library, a bookstore in memory of Charnice Milton. Charnice Milton apparently loved to read. She really did love to read, and they wanted to honor her memory by putting together a bookstore. And they asked people to donate books. And I asked you all on the podcast to donate books to help. Now, I gave you a location where to do it, and when to do it, and so on. So if you have done it, I really do appreciate it. No question about that. If you did do it, I appreciate it. Now, fast forward to this past week. We have a restaurant, a chain of restaurants here in Washington, D.C., in the D.C. area, called Busboys and Poets. It's named after, I believe, Langston Hughes. And it's a trendy, cultural restaurant. They sell like grass-fed beef, and it's really nice. They have a number of locations. When I used to work in Northwest D.C., there was one right down the street from me, so I used to go there a lot. And they just opened a brand new, they have 6 locations now. And the newest location is in what has been for many years the poorest section of Washington, D.C. It's a neighborhood, legendary neighborhood called Anacostia. And it's in Southeast Washington, D.C. And there are no bookstores in Southeast Washington. I think I mentioned that when I talked about Milton back in 2017. And they have no bookstores. And so that's why I wanted to put together a bookstore in the memory of Charnice Milton. Well, most busboys and poets, I haven't been to all of them, but I've been to a few of them in the area. And they have bookstores in the restaurant. You can buy books, and I've bought a number of books over the years at the one I'm closest to, which is on 14th and V Streets in Northwest D.C. So they're going to put a bookstore in the Anacostia Busboys and Poets, and the bookstore will be named after Charnice Milton. So that is just wonderful. That is just fantastic. The store, I think the restaurant just opened as we record this. Today is Wednesday. And I think we opened up yesterday, Tuesday. So it's going to be big for the area. The area is changing just like everything in D.C. is changing. We used to be known as Chocolate City in Washington, D.C. It's not Chocolate City much anymore. But there's a lot of heritage, a lot of culture, a lot of history in the Anacostia neighborhood. And it's great now that Charnice Milton will be a major part of that history as she gets a bookstore named in her honor over at Busboys and Poets in Anacostia. And I've met the owner of Busboys and Poets, Andy Shalal, and very nice man. And it's great that he's doing this for her. He understands the importance of it. I know Miss Milton's family, and I never met Charnice Milton. I need to tell you that I've never met her. I had no idea who she was. But when I heard the situation that took place when I was at WEAC Radio, when they were talking about it, I knew I had to do something and try to get you all to do something. I appreciate it again, once again, if you did. And now that this has come to fruition, it is really special. It really is special. So once again, the Charnice Milton Bookstore. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, go to Busboys and Poets. I don't know where in Anacostia is located. I got to find that out. But I know it's in Southeast D.C. Anacostia Metro is not that far. So please, if you're in the area, please come and visit the Charnice Milton Bookstore. I'm looking forward to doing that myself. So once again, I just want to give you an update on that particular story. So don't forget, no Golden Gloves this week. We come back strong the following week, March 22nd, Baltimore Boxing at Michael States Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Where, of course, the home of Scott Wagner's Ballroom Boxing. Of course, Scott Wagner being honored. March 23rd, Saturday, March 23rd is the second semifinal for the Golden Gloves, Washington Golden Gloves. And then on Sunday, March 24th, we have the pro card at MGM National Harbor in Oxon Hill, Maryland. We hope to see you there for some or all of those events. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Once again, brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Get a free $10 tube. You purchase $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief by going to freepainoffer.com. And don't forget, Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Don't forget to visit boxfundandbeltway.blogspot.com and click on the links at Best Buy and Amazon.com and get your items from those links. And don't forget, you can always contact me on Twitter at Digital25. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Take care, everyone.